Hi, I'm Corbin Goodwin, I'm 23 and from Calabasas, and I hope you'll consider me to be another host of Hot Rod Garage. Now, you may remember a while back I built a car that was appropriately titled the ZFG RX-7. I also helped my friend build the Jettamino, the 40 mile per gallon diesel-powered Jetta pickup that everybody loves. I've spent a few years in engineering school now, and I use this knowledge to make cars better. I use it to make them better. And I've also spent a few years in the canyons, learning how to drive at normal, reasonable speeds, because it would be immoral to drive at high speeds or race people in the canyons. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll consider me. Thank you.
Vroom, 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 vroom.
Hi, I'm Corbin, host of Corbin's Rolls-Royce Modification Garage, where we also modify other things. Today, I'm going to walk you through a few of the challenges and a few of the parts choices I've made when trying to make a Rolls-Royce go very sideways. Now, in the last episode, which doesn't exist because this is the first one, you remember that we pulled this input shaft out of the transmission, and you remember I cried for a few minutes when all those little rollers fell out. Actually, we didn't air that part, but what I did learn was that the bearing that I thought was bad is in fact bad. So I got a new one. And come over here a moment and I will show you how I could tell. Now, it seemed obvious at the time, well, at least it should have been obvious at the time, but this play is way too much. Now, not being familiar with this transmission, I wasn't exactly sure, but what really told me, and what you probably can't see on camera, is that down in there, that inner race is completely shot. I mean, we're talking, it's pitted, it's nasty, and I learned later where all that metal went. Now, there's a little magnet stuck down in the case. It's not a magnetized drain plug, it's simply a magnet attached to the case. Now, of course, this is where all those little bits of the inner race fell, collected, so I scooped that out, and I feel better about this transmission. Here today on the QVC network, we have a beautiful Ford T19. Now, you can get this for your spouse, for your kids, for your friends, and I mean, they're really gonna love it.
Get on with it.
Here is the Ford T19 that I've selected to hopefully use behind this motor. It's a 4-speed, iron case, beefy internals, as we will see in a moment, truck transmission. Subaru guys be like, I got an access port. Truck guys be like, yo, I got an access port. Yeah. So, last episode, which again still doesn't exist, we pulled off this top cover, used an impact gun on all the bolts to inspect the shift forks, which look pretty good. There's a little bit of damage to that one, but nothing looks too bent, too destroyed. All these shafts look okay. And when we look down into the gears of the transmission, we see there are no chips in the teeth, nothing's really terribly worn. The synchros look pretty good, there's nothing broken off there, and the synchros themselves aren't too worn. Here's your reverse engagement shaft, and obviously the input is missing because we pulled that off. So I'm pretty happy with the internals of this transmission. The rest of the bearings seem okay. I'm going to replace the seals, do new gaskets, and leave it at that. So the original plan with the motor was to install a Megasquirt MS3 Pro system. Now the problem with that, it costs a lot of money, and this build's kind of a budget build. So I decided to do what generations of hot rodders have done before me, and put boost through a carburetor. Now, this isn't quite as black magic as it seems. This is a standard, or fairly standard, Holley 4150 style, 750 CFM, double pumper carburetor with a mechanical secondary. And we know it's mechanical because when we actuate the throttle all the way, there's a linkage that opens your secondaries. Now, this shouldn't be too difficult a thing to do, although if you go online, there's a lot of people who think it's kind of a black magic. I'll explain in a moment why it isn't. One of the things we need to make sure about our carburetor before we put boost through it is that our floats are going to be able to withstand the pressures generated inside the float chambers. So one of the first things I'm going to do is pull off the float bowls and see what our floats are made out of. Now we're pulling off the secondary side right now, And you can tell it's the secondary side because there is no choke horn up here, and the choke acts on the primary side. We'll actually be milling that off because there is no way to keep boost inside this carb if we have the external hole with a linkage. Now, let's see if we can just pull this off. Oh, something I'd like to notice is that we have our accelerator pump coming to the bottom here. This should slip off. This seems to be decently adjusted, although it might be a little loose. Now, come on. Uh-oh. Are we gonna have to cut? We might have to cut. We might have to cut. So now we're going to put these back in here so I do not lose them, and move on to the primary bowl and see if that's going to need replacing. And I think it will. I'm going to assume that is plastic as well, or brass, and I don't remember if I said it on the previous one, but brass also is in danger of being crushed. I forgot. And they will both need to be replaced with nitrofill filled floats if they are both unusable. So you can see our professional work surface here is very high end. Now let's see if I can get this one off with my manly strength. Beautiful. So let's take a look in here. This one is a brass float, and this is very thin brass. I can bend it very easily just by squeezing on it, and I would not trust this to stay inflated under boost. So they're both different, I don't know why, and they will both need to be changed to something more solid. The last item I want to cover today on Corbin's parents' garage would be the turbo we're going to use for the Rolls-Royce. Now, this turbo was given to me by a friend. I was originally, well, okay, he's a cousin. I was originally going to use a twin setup with two Garrett GT 2560Rs, ball bearing, water cooled, great turbos. But this is free, so I'm going to use this. And the reason I'm sticking with this, which is a Bullseye Power turbo, it's a Borg-Warner S362 frame, I believe, modified by Bullseye Power, is because I did the math, and while I'm not going to be in the meat of the efficiency island on the compressor map, and if you don't know what a compressor map is, you should look it up, I'm not going to be in the meat of the efficiency island, but I'll be decently efficient, and this will definitely suit my needs. In fact, it'll be kind of under stressed. Another reason I like it is because on the hot side, the turbine, you see that we have two inlet ports. This is a twin scroll turbo, which means that you can separate exhaust pulses to spool it faster. They don't interfere with each other, and you can get both of them hitting more efficiently. What I'll probably do is tie one of these to each bank of cylinders, and because of the Rolls firing order, it'll actually spool this faster, in theory. So until next time, guys, this is Corbin. These are the things I like to work on. Wait, do you hear that? Somebody spun a rod bearing. I must go. Oh, still hurts quite a lot. What do you know? Yeah, we have to figure out a better way to do this, actually, because this is really painful, and it's not working.